Hello and welcome everyone to Silverstone for round 3 of the iRacing Israel League Season 3 in the Porsche GT3 Cup Cars. We're here for round number 3, as I said earlier, and it is an action-packed race we are expecting ahead of us. We've got 35 minutes of racing. They've just started qualifying about halfway through, 6 minutes into the 10-minute qualifying session. The laps are coming in thick and fast, and we are just waiting for these drivers to finish their qualifying laps. We've got a mandatory pit stop in this race as well, which will spice things up, and I'm looking forward to this one. My name is Dane Bed, and joining me in the commentary booth is Adam Barth. He's also controlling the beautiful SDK gaming overlay you can now see on your screen, and of course the cameras as well. So Adam, welcome along there. Yeah, which means that they have to pit within a certain window. We're expecting it to be between lap 6 and lap 10, and I'm expecting about 16, 17, maybe 18 a lap race ahead of us. So it's quite a long one, 2 minutes and a couple of seconds lap time here. As you can see, Alon Day once again on provisional pole position, as almost everyone has finished their lap times. They get 2 laps, remember, in 2 minutes 04.8, and that is a very beaten up looking Porsche. Just for anyone that doesn't know, we've had the new damage model for a couple of weeks on this Porsche, but it is being disabled by iRacing due to a couple of bugs. They're going to fix that. But for now, we're back on the old damage model from the last few seasons. So no spectacular crashes today. Not going to be losing any of their wing mirrors, but this is going to be definitely an interesting race. Shalva just about a tenth behind Alon Day there. So this is going to be very interesting. They're quite close up at the top of the standings. Speaking of the standings, I've got the championship standings here for you. Shalva Kviteshvili is currently leading with 81 points. 67 points has Oren Sade in second. Ori Lahav in third with 54. 1 point behind is Alon Day, who's got both pole positions so far and looks like he's about to take the third. And then we've got Alon Zeltzer in fifth position. And then we've got Bakar Meshalam. We've also got a couple of other drivers in there. Michael Sherling in 9th, Sardekel in 10th. Haggai Farron missed the first round. He's down in 16th, but after a very decent position and from 2 weeks ago in Charlotte, he's going to be looking to make his way back up through that field this week, I am sure. We've got a very, very big grid here today. We've got 30 cars in the grid, 31 cars, sorry, in the grid, as we see John Chico yet to set a lap time. He's going to be looking to make up a couple of places on the grid, I'm sure. Looks like he's finished both of his laps as well. So this is pretty much our grid set with 30 seconds left to qualify.
Yeah, he might be able to improve. Let's see if he can. Coming through the final corner. Oh, well, he's going to spin it across the line. I think that might just be about valid. But yeah, I don't think it was valid, you know. Yeah, so John Chico there sets a start towards the rear. If you don't set a time in iRacing in a qualifying session, iRacing then determines it all on your iRating. So incidentally, John Chico is the highest out of the 3 cars that haven't set a time. John Chico, David Diagan, Gil Epstein. So that's how the 31 cars are going to line up, and we can have a look at the grid now in a bit more detail as we get ready to go.
Absolutely. Then we'll Alon Day with his third pole position of the season, 3 out of 3 for him. He's got a 2 minutes 4.8. That's a respectable lap time there in the number 1 car, obviously last season's champion. Shalva, current championship leader, 1/10 behind in second. We've got Ariel de Bush in third, Jan Pergament in fourth, Haggai Farron in fifth, Amin Meshalam, Michael Sherling, Maddie Bakar, Oren Sade, Ariel Elkin, and that is the top 10. Then we've got Reuven in 11th, Ori Lahav in 12th, and the rest of the grid is going to scroll down in just a moment. We've got quite a lot of cars on the grid, some of them halfway through club corners. They start at the back there. I can see right at the back Gil Epstein. We've got Yossi Gabay in his bright green car in 13th, Ron Cohen in 14th, Sard Deckel in 15th. We've got Nirkop Mizrahi, Deckel Nar, Toma Ventura, Rancioni, Yehuda Ben Yosef in 20th as the lights are on, and we are racing here at Silverstone. And it's a great start from Shalva. He makes up into first position. Alonde dropping back into second. As Shalva, as they come towards turn number 3, Shalva looks like he might have got a slowdown maybe, because Alonde swoops around the outside of turn 2 in towards turn 3 for the braking for the first time. And it looks like Alonde just manages to get away with that poor start of his. Shalva has to defend a little bit from Debush in third. Alonde, a big slide from Alonde. Manages to hold on as they come down towards the Wellington Straight for the first time.
Wasn't the best run there either, but a good run for Haggai Farron. It looks like he might be able to take the Bush into the... Oh, contact between the two, and it's the red Porsche that gets the advantage. And watch out for potentially Amon Meshalem looking at the inside there as well. And yeah, it looked like there might have been a bit of netco contact between Alonde and Shalva there in the complex, but fortunately for both of them, they're able to get away with it, and hopefully we'll be able to see a classic duel between the two. It's something that we don't see too often, as problems for Yossi Gabay and Orila have.
Oh, that looks like a problem into the braking zone of... Where is that? That's on the outside of Luffield, coming onto the National Straight, as here is Alonde and Shalva. Alonde running a bit wide. You can get away with that. Only a couple of times. They have an incident limit in place, same as the official series. 17, you get a drive-through penalty. 25, you get disqualified. And he's definitely got a 1x or an off-track from that. But if you run too wide out there, you get a slowdown. That's a really nasty slowdown. And they come onto the hangar straight for the first time. This is going to be one of the better overtaking opportunities, getting a good run out of Chapel and that you can see in the background, and then making a move up into Stowe Corner up here, the fast right-hander over the crest of the hill as well. Here's Amir Meshlam fending off Madi Bakar from the battle for 6th position in his Dr. Pepper livery there. And Madi Bakar looks like he's got a better run. He might make a move down. They come through Vale. Who's that? That's the Bush. Dropping down the order. I think that was just a slowdown. He stopped on well out of the way of everyone else. Oh, and Amir Meshlam has turned round.
And it's chaos, absolute chaos here at Club and Vale. Cars getting turned around left, right and centre. Cold tyres and brakes probably still in effect here at the end of the first lap. It looked like a variety of incidents happened there. There's somebody else that's also off in the background at a shot 42. That is Chashashvili, I should say. And there's a car upside down. And that's that
moment there.
Monteriano also involved, and that's Yehuda Ben Yosef, who's had a bother of all incidents. There's plenty of us to look back on the replay.
Absolutely, I saw Nikot Mizrahi having a bit of a spin at Club Corner as well, and that car is not looking good at all. He's very unfortunate where that happened. Let's have a look then. Does he hit this curb on the inside? No, he doesn't. He just gets turned by Gil Epstein. Is he collected now? Trying to get back on the circuit. Spins it around. And out of nowhere comes the 55. I'm not sure who that was. Was it maybe Moshie Pinchevsky maybe? Someone near the back of the field there, running exceptionally wide. Goes even wider to try and avoid Yehuda there in the number 10 car, and unfortunately they collided, and he's going to tow back to the pits. He maybe could have come all the way around the circuit, but that car is not looking too happy at all. They do get a fast repair. They get 2 fast repairs in this series. So he's not out of this one, but in realistic terms, he is not going to be getting a big haul of points here. Alonde still leading then, with Shalva just about half a second behind him. Battle going on for the final podium position as well. That's Haggai Farron and Michael Scherling. We've seen a lot of those two in the previous seasons. Here is the first incident then, that maybe started all of this. Amir Meshlam in the 777 car, Dr. Pepper livery. He drops it on his own, outbrakes himself, loses the rear end, and then all chaos breaks loose just next to him.
Yeah, quite a lot of things happen at the same time there, because you saw De Bush also getting what looked like maybe a slowdown penalty. I'm not sure it was, but he all of a sudden just slammed on the brakes. and then everybody trying to get into probably one of the hardest braking points on the circuit at Club and Vale. Then they seem to lose everything. But yeah, Amon Meshalem, he's now down in 14th place. John Chico has gained 16 spots since the start. He looks like he's picked up a bit of damage and changed the lead.
Allende coming into Woodcott and Luffield, not Woodcott. Brooklands and Luffield, round the outside goes Shalva, and now he's going to have the inside line for Luffield as they come onto the national straight then for the third time. Allende trying to get a better exit. It looks like he has done that. The ride on board with Allende. The squeeze from Shalva. He's going to go all up on the grass and the curbs. And they're still side by side. Shalva running wide out of Woodcott, trying to leave some space. Allende just gets past in towards Cops. Is there going to be the switch back from Shalva for Tejfeli as they come? Allende running wide once more. Shalva might have just got away with that one as they come towards Magnus Beckett's for the third time. This is where Shalva just needs to keep his head and try and maintain that gap, try and get a bit closer. It looks like he's actually slowing down a little bit there, and he's lost that lead that he had for a few moments, and Shalva has got a slowdown in Maggots and Beckett's. That is absolutely dreadful. It's a 3-second slowdown there, and he has dropped back to 4th, and more importantly, Allende has now got a whopping lead of about 1.5 seconds to Michael Shirley, no, to Haggai Farron, sorry.
Well, those two, they rarely battle, but when they do, we are really treated to a spectacle, and that was a fantastic battle between the two of them there. And here is Michael Shirley, got a very good livery, I must say, up in 3rd place, and now he's trying to put Haggai Farron under a bit of pressure as they go through the final corner onto the pit straight again. Don't forget, 35-minute race and a mandatory pit stop as well. They've limited the fuel so that the drivers can't come in at the end of the first lap and then just go home from there. So they have got to throw some sort of strategy into it. And John Chico gained quite a few positions. We touched on that before the battle for the lead. He gained the most positions out of anybody in the first few laps. He's now come in. Early roll of the dice potentially there, Dave. I
think that might be due to damage if anything of anything else. That car was looking very beaten up there. Very unfortunate for him. I saw him dropping down the order just as we were watching some of the drivers go through Stowe and Club. So I'm not sure if that had anything to do with it, but that car was absolutely destroyed. I think he might just be going to get a fast repair there. But we're expecting the lap 6 is probably the earliest that these drivers can actually get enough fuel to finish the race on. So that's definitely some sort of strategy that these drivers are going to have. As we're riding on board with Michael Shirley down the national straight, the old pit straight from years prior, and that's Haggai Farron just ahead of him. He's got Shalva about a second behind, and Michael Shirley with a fantastic run through Copse Corner. He's going to look around the outside into Maggots. No, he's not. He's going to just pull out of that one. Try and keep this gap as small as it is now. 2 tenths separating these two drivers, all up on this green AstroTurf, almost inside of Haggai Farron's Porsche GT3 Cup car. This is a great opportunity now for Michael Shirley to get up into 2nd position. Just a tenth separating the two drivers in the draft nicely. Is Haggai going to defend? He does. Give a little bit of a squeeze. Michael Shirley will take the inside in towards Stowe. Is Haggai Farron going to hold it all the way around the outside or try and get the switch back? Let's wait and see. And Michael Shirley moves himself up into 2nd position. There's Shalva just behind Haggai Farron. Is he going to make a move in towards Club? No, he's not. He's going to hang back.
Good brave manoeuvre there by Michael Shirley up the inside. He could have backed out of it. He could have tried and ducked for the outside, but he stayed true to the inside there and was able to get the benefit there and forced Haggai Farron to yield. And now Haggai is under a bit of pressure from Shalva. Shalva, of course, picking up that penalty early on, and now he's trying to fight his way back through the field. He's not too far away from Allende, the race leader, either. It's just about 4 seconds from 1st all the way down to 4th. So, and of course with the strategy, of course, with the pit stops to come, then things could still change quite a lot in this race as we have the first 5 laps in the books. We are 1/3 of the way through this one.
Absolutely, 15 laps or 35 minutes, whichever one comes first. And here are the championship standings on your screen. We couldn't get them up earlier, but here they are then, and that is Shalva currently running in 4th after that unfortunate slowdown to Maggots and Beckett's, but those are the championship points. It's very close in the midfield from 3rd all the way down to wherever that was. I think it was like 18th position there, separated by 20 points. And they do get 34 points, I believe, for a win. The top 34 drivers get points. It's really big points haul that some drivers can get, and that really was separated by maybe a couple of points between each driver. Chalva's fallen back a little bit.
Yeah, that's a shame. No, he had a very good start to lap there, putting in a few green boxes in terms of good sectors. But now it's just drifted back a little bit. Fastest lap last time around was by Alonde. He was about half a second quicker than Michael Schürling in second, and he's been able to pull out a few more tenths of a second on this lap. So Alonde trying to make a breakaway before Chalva can get up into second place and try and apply any sort of pressure. Biggest move at the moment is this guy, car 14, up in 11th place. It's getting 14 places as well. It's Dor Malka with the black and yellow and a little stripe of white. A lot of sponsors as well. Tucking right over there to the outside going into Stowe, trying to stop Amir Meshlem, who's also trying to get some positions back here. And Amir Meshlem's looking pretty racy here as he looks up the inside into Stowe. He should get the place, and a Dr. Pepper car does get it, but will he be under pressure going into Club?
Looked like Marco got a really good exit there, but he's just had to hold off as we see the first driver maybe making their pit stop. That's Gil Epstein. Oh, and he maybe decides not to. Was there some contact that sent him there? Either way, he's spinning into the wall. There's only one way to go now, into the pit lane. He's gonna have no trouble slowing it down for the pit limiter. But definitely a weird one there. Maybe he lost it under braking. Yeah. And that's what caused him to go onto the grass there. I think that was definitely a scheduled pit stop. He's one of the first drivers to pit for fuel in this race. I think he's also going to have to use his fast repair as well there, because his car wasn't looking too great either. You can see on the front right of his car, he definitely goes for the pit lane very early. And does he maybe touch the grass? No, he just locks up those rear brakes. Does very well to almost catch this and keep it out of the path of other drivers. And then just a little tap on the wall, but it won't matter too much because he does get his fast repair, and you can see his car is now good as new. That's another driver in the pits.
Yeah, 42, that's Reuven coming in. He'll get a fast repair as well. Should do anyway. And then, of course, get the fuel that you need, and you'll be on your way.
Meanwhile, Michael Schürling in second position with Haggai Farron dropping back slightly. 0.6 is now the gap between them. I wonder who's going to pit first out of the lead group of cars. Alonde 3.6 seconds ahead. And in the last lap or so, Michael Schürling has managed to close in that gap to Alonde just a little bit. As you can see, they all come through Club Corner. Now this is a really tricky braking zone. It's quite dusty in this part of the circuit as well. Big red sausage curbs everywhere. And then there's a crest on the final apex of Club Corner, which really makes the rear end step out a little bit. It's very tricky, complex corners there, especially in these really difficult to drive Porsche GT3 Cup cars. And Michael Schürling just dropping back a little bit. We've got Dor Malka losing positions at a rate of knots. Eric Oust as well. And we've got another few drivers pitting. That's Amir Meshlem and Yossi Gabay heading into the pit lane.
You could hear there how much Melga had to lift off. But yeah, you're right. We've got two more cars coming into the pits. There's the familiar green of Yossi Gabay. Amir Meshlem, as he said, going into the pits as well. Ori Lahav also coming in too. A bit of damage to the front end of the car. I wonder if we just saw those drivers losing places because the pit lane entry, you cut such a huge amount of the circuit that it looked like they were losing places, but in reality it was just because the drivers behind them were coming into the pit lanes. So Amir Meshlem, a very, very quick stop, 8.6 seconds for the Dr. Pepper car. He's come back out onto the circuit now in 20th place. So it'll be interesting to see if he can make up any ground on that lead battle in front of him. And he's come out just behind Leon Portman. There he is in another very fluorescent car. Is he going to try the inside straight away on his outlap? Looks like Leon Portman's not going to really give him too much to bother about, and through goes Meshlem. He's already getting some places back on his outlap. Oh, and the problem for Eric Elster, the 666 is around at the exit of Luffield.
I think that he might have just dropped that himself. It's an incredibly difficult area to get the throttle down, if I can get my words out. It's very easy to spin the car here, and that's exactly what happens. And he just does well to keep that out of that barrier on the inside there, because I've done that many times in practice. drops a couple of positions down into 14th. And here is the battle for second place. Farron has caught right back up into Michael Scherling's wake. 4/10 separating the drivers now as they come to start lap number 8. I think that might have been Scherling making a mistake because he has dropped half a second to Alonde in the last couple of laps. There are only about 3 laps left of the pit window, so they're going to start pitting now. I suspect that if Farron can't get past this lap, he will do whatever Scherling doesn't at the end of this lap in terms of pit stops. As Elkin pits for fuel as well.
There you can see the lap comparisons between Michael Scherling and Haggai Farron. Lap 4 wasn't the best for Haggai. I think that's when they're having the battle. But after that, he's been slowly clawing the time back. Last time around, he was 2/10 of a second quicker. Shalva last time around was the quickest guy of anybody on the circuit. He did a 2:04.7. That eclipses Alonde's personal best by 2/10. So if Shalva can nail the pit stop, he might still have a chance of at least getting on the podium. He's 1.3 seconds away from Haggai Farron as things stand, as the order in the top 10 and the order in the top 20 continues to get shuffled around by cars making pit stops. We'll hopefully have a much clearer idea of where everybody is once the pit stops have been completed. As you said, Dane, in a couple of laps' time as the pit window comes to a close. We're quickly approaching already the 2/3 mark of this race, and we've already just gone past the halfway point too.
Absolutely, looks like we're going to run out of laps before we run out of time here. There's definitely 15 lap race. On time I reckon it would be about 17. You can see Alonde there, you can see just in the background Michael Scherling and Haggai Farron, and a little bit of a glimpse of Shalva as well. But the pit stops are going to be crucial here because it's a really dusty pit lane, pit entry. As Ante comes around the normal circuit, who's going to make a pit stop out of the top 3? Farron does. So he did what Scherling didn't. Oh, when Farron almost loses it, he's going to get a penalty for that for sure. He was nowhere near slowed down enough in time for that one. So he's going to get a penalty for that, speeding in the pit lane. I'm almost 100% sure about that, but like I was saying, it's an incredibly dusty section of the track. You can see the dust on it, and it catches even the best of drivers out, as we've just seen with Haggai here.
Well, and also you wouldn't think it's such a slow pit lane around here. You'd think you're braking from normal racing speed to around 60 miles an hour or what have you, but at this circuit it's even lower than that, and I had to feel for Haggai there. At least for him, he won't have to come around and then serve his penalty because he sped on entry. He'll just serve it in his pit box now, as he is doing, and you can hear him revving the engine out, probably out of frustration.
Absolutely, I think he took tyres as well, which would make sense if he's got the penalty anyway. He's going to lose the time, might as well get some fresh tyres on there. Obviously, although we don't have the new damage model, we still have the new tyre model version 7 on these cars, so it's going to help him out a little bit with tyre wear. And seeing in the background of that shot, name is Rahi also coming to take some fuel in the pit lane. Here he goes, then he checks, and then he comes into the pit, and you can see how dusty it is right there. That's where the dust starts. He gets on the brakes a bit too late, I think, anyway, and so well to keep that out of the wall. But yeah, definitely got a penalty for that, and that's unfortunate. He's dropped all the way down to 22nd position. That's Haggai Farron. Here is Alonde then, your race leader, 4 seconds ahead of Michael Scherling. You can see in the background, coming up towards Stowe Corner. I think this is one of the last 2 opportunities he's going to have to make his pit stop. I would expect him to do it on this lap. Yes, he does. Let's see how he handles with the dust. Does he get it slowed down in time?
There we go.
Yes, I think he does, with a little bit of a lock of the brakes, and Michael Scherling follows him. I think he might have been a bit fast in there.
Luckily for these guys, it's not done. There's not someone standing there with a speed gun. I think it is done over average distance. So if he can get it down just after the yellow cone, he should be okay, Michael Scherling. But the proof will be in how long this stop will be. And Shalva, he now returns to the race lead that he held very briefly early on. He's going to go 1 extra lap and see if he can gain some time on these guys that have now come into their pits.
It is now scenario 7 for Shalva, as he has 1 flying lap to try and maybe gain a little bit of time. He's probably passed Haggai Farron, but Alonde gets going again, and Michael Scherling was still stuck in the pit box.
Oh, maybe he didn't. Yeah, maybe he did speed on entry then.
It looks like he has, and that would put Matty Bakar up into 3rd position in this race. He's just left the pit lane. And yeah, that looks like that's his position to keep then. Up into 3rd position. We've not seen too much of him in the series so far. He's in the championship. Let's try and see where he is in the championship. He's in 6th with a couple of good points positions in the first couple of races, but this is definitely one of the best. Shalva looks like he's got 2nd in the bag. If he can not copy the mistakes of the people that were just in front of him, he's gained 2 positions in the pit stops.
There's the situation in terms of the track map on the right hand side. Also the situation in terms of pit stops. Alon Day is, as things stand, your effective race leader, with Shalva still yet to come in and make his stop. After that, you're really looking at Dawn Malka, who's yet to come in, and Moshi Pinchevsky as well, and Leon Portman, who we saw getting overtaken by Amir Meshalem earlier. Meshalem is up into 9th place now, and it could get a bit better than that, of course, when Malka comes in to make his stop. What about Shalva then? Here he comes into the pits, down through the gears. Looks like he hit his marks there.
I think that was a pretty good pit entry from him. Let's see where he comes out. Alon Day just coming into the entry of Stowe Corner. Let's see how far behind he comes out. He was about 4 or 5 seconds behind at the beginning of the pit window. Let's see how he does now. He might take a fast repair as well. He might have some floor damage somewhere on his car. Alon Day comes to round the final corner. There he is. He's going to come down the pit straight, fairly short pit straight here at Silverstone, of course. And where is Shalva? Just getting out of his pit box now, so it looks like he might have even lost some time on that last lap. We'll have to see when the deltas come back. There it is. He's gained about half a second, maybe a bit more than that in the pit window, but he's now on cold tyres and slightly heavier car than Alon Day maybe. So we'll have to see how he does. He's got a good old gap to try and close down with 5 laps to go.
Yeah, it's one of the quickest stops we've seen today. I think 7.9 seconds in the pit box for Shalva there. I think the only driver that was able to do a quicker stop was John Chico, who did a 6.1 second stop and is now up in 9th place. So it shows how important those little tenths of a second are when you come into the pit lane. And the orders all change. So Haggai Farron, remember him? He was up in the top 3 before the pit stop happened. Michael Sherling, of course, he must have sped on entry as well. He's now in 10th. And all of a sudden, Shalva's up into 2nd, and Matty Bakar is on course for a potential podium here with 4 laps to go. So these pit stops, we knew it would throw another spanner into the works, and it really has. We've really shuffled up the field here.
Absolutely good call by race control, in my opinion, to make this mandatory pit stop happen. I mean, there's still 12 rounds of the season, so even after this one, 9 rounds to go. And if it's following the same format as last season in GT4, we've got 2 drop weeks as well. So it's by no means over for any of these guys in the championship fight. As Farron maybe has 2 not so good points finishes this weekend, obviously missing the first round. But in 2 weeks we head to a new circuit. We've got 6 weeks in this iRacing season, 6 weeks in the next season, mostly following the Porsche iRacing Cup schedule. 2 weeks ago we headed to Charlotte rather than the Nürburgring Nordschleife, which is probably a good move. And Shalva is actually closing down the gap to Alon Day. He gained about 6 tenths on that last lap compared to where he was when he came out of the pit box. Here's a little group of cars. This is Malka Lahav and Yossi Gabai. Yossi gaining quite a few positions, obviously involved in that first lap incident into Luffield, even before all of the mayhem happened at Cops. And let's see, this is Lahav maybe trying to get a good run down in towards Club Corner on Malka. Sardekel joins this battle as well, this little train of cars. Is he going to go around the outside? No, he's not. As Dormalka goes wide, he's going to go all up on the red curb, airborne for a moment, side by side around the final part. Or he'll have sticking it around the outside. He's going all the way around. He's going to get a massive slowdown for that. Surely. He's going to drop back. He went super wide there. Yossi Gabai Gonna have a look to get through.
Oh, look at him go. Oh no!
Oh, he gets out the way. Yossi Goodbye on the grass. Is he gonna make contact? Just manages to get it slowed down in time. Dormalka runs wide once again. 3 wide as they come in towards the loop. And
Oh!
there's a little bit of contact.
No.
Zardeco gets spun round. Haggai Farron now joining the back of this. He's going to get a slowdown as well for running all the way back there on the grass, almost losing control. Still side by side as they come out of the loop onto the Wellington Straight then on lap 12 of 15. And that's a move by Malka up the Lahav up the inside of Malka then into Brooklands. We've got a train of 4 cars now as they come through Luffield. Lahav is going to try and get a good exit now, so he doesn't have to worry about to move in towards Kops. Goodbye. So he's got a decent exit as well. Malka falling behind. Is Haggai Farron going to get involved in this one as well? Side by side between the two. Is Haggai going to make it 3 wide? He almost thinks about it. Goodbye makes it through. Riding on board with Haggai Farron now. Yossi Goodbye made it all the way around the outside to pass Farron and Malka as they come through Magus and Beckett's now. Alon Day starting lap 13. Shalva not catching him in the last lap. Farron didn't get the best of exits, unfortunately for him. And I don't think he's going to be close enough to make a move into Stoke Corner unless he can get really late on the brakes. Here's a battle for 4th position. Oren Sade under pressure from the bush as they come around turn 3 at Village and then into the loop. Bush needing to get the power down nice and early. This is also another tricky corner. It's really easy to spin the car here. And it's a great exit from the bush. Hard on the defensive is Oren Sade. The bush goes for a late inside lunge as they head in towards Brooklands. And that's a great move from the bush up into 4th position there.
Yeah, shades of Mansell and Piquet there with the dummy. Tries to fake to the outside, then cut straight back up the inside and completely bamboozled Oren Sade there. And he is through up into 4th place. Yeah, I think John Chico came in earlier, didn't he? And I was prophesying that was going to be some sort of roll of the dice, but it looks like he wasn't able to put enough fuel in to get to the end, and he's had to come back into the pits, and it's now back out in 19th place. And his fight for 4th is by no means over. When we get to the line, we're going to be starting a penultimate lap, and now that Sade has gone behind Debush here, he now fancies his chances of getting back by, but time is against him, but he is still within striking distance. As I say, unfortunately we don't have that graphic available to us. I can't tell you what the overtaking difficulty is going to be either, but onto the hangar straight they go, and he is closing a little bit in the slipstream here. The toe, to be fair, isn't really powerful in these Porsche GT3 Cup cars.
It's not the most effective. These cars don't have much downforce. You can see there's not loads of little winglets like you'd see on a traditional GT3 car. There's just that big old spoiler at the back, which we saw a couple drivers losing 2 weeks ago at Charlotte, and that really cost them a lot of time. It's the only downforce that these cars have, and that really do rely on that to get the rear planted. They're rear engine, but the fuel tank is in the front. So they're very unique cars in that way, and they make great cup cars for racing. Debush checking out a little bit there. Oren Sade not able to catch him. Haggai Farron now right on the back of Yossi Goodbye. He's going to have to go the long way around if he wants to make a move at Stowe. He's only going to have one more chance to do it after this. Sorry, 2 more chances after this, as they are on lap 13. Side by side, making a move up into Club Corner, and that is a great move from Farron. He shuts the door in towards the right-hander, and Haggai Farron is now going to take 13th position. Yossi Goodbye having to settle for 14th.
Yeah, that was a great move by Haggai Farron. Went to the outside into Stowe, where it looked pretty dusty and potentially not too much grip, but he was able to use it well, and that meant he was able to get straight up the inside. And I think we've seen today that this Silverstone circuit is very wide, and some plenty of overtakes going on here. And just a rewind to this little gaggle a couple of laps ago, as Haggai Farron gets a bit wide. It all ended in disaster really, because just the guy in front of them, Ori Lahav, he picked up a slowdown and then drifted to the outside to serve it. But then whoever it was trying to go around the outside and ended up nearly running into the back of them. It was almost a disaster. Unfortunately, for the most part, everybody got away without too much damage from that situation. The Sardekel, it looks like he wasn't able to put enough fuel in the car either. He's had to come back in to get a little top up before coming back onto... Oh no, has he crashed on the pit lane exit?
I think he might have just dropped it. Is that an Austin Powers? I think that's an Austin Powers. Yes, it is.
I do have the camera at the ready, unfortunately, for him.
The problem there is, as Alan Day starts the white flag, lap 15 of 15, Sardecker, what he's going to do now, he's going to be releasing the pit limiter and flooring it in first gear whilst turning the car, and that's going to instantly drop it into the wall. He goes, and he has got to make about a 9-point turn there, backing it up into the wall as well for good measure. And that is a lot of damage to the front of his Porsche. And there's Alon Day. He's going to get held up there by Deckel, and Shalva is just behind them.
Yeah, Shalva has got the gap down in the last few laps to 2.3 seconds, but it's not going to be enough, barring any mishaps for Alon Day on his final lap. He's already managed to negotiate that traffic there in Sardekel, and he's managed to get by him there, as too is Shalva. And 16 seconds back is Madi Bakar. What a moment that's going to be for him if he can hold on to that third place. Problem for Amo Meshalem, as he's just been passed by Michael Scherling on the final lap. Scherling, of course, on the comeback trail after picking up a speeding fine for going too quick past the yellow cone at the beginning of the pit lane. And this is going to be a battle that looks set to go right down to the checkered flag here. Two guys really going at it for a spot in the top 8.
Absolutely, Meshalem. Is he going to go for a lunge on the inside into Brooklyn's hard on the defensive is Shirley. He takes the inside line away from him. He's going to run wide though. Meshalem makes the move. Is Shirley going to try to dive down the inside? He's not close enough. And I think he's going to have to wait until Stowe or maybe even Club Corner. He's going to leave it right till the end of the race. We're going to have to wait as Alon Day, just 3 corners left to go before he can take his second win of the season. Won the opening race 4 weeks ago at Le Mans. Unfortunately DNF'd from 2 weeks ago at Charlotte. But for Alon Day, last season's champion, 2-time NASCAR Euro Whelen Series champion, and he will take the checkered flag to win round 3 of the iRacing Israel League GT3 Cup Series. Shava will take second position, and Madi Bakar under pressure from the Bush. Is there going to be a last lap move from the Bush? I don't think he's got enough time. A little bit of overstay from both of them, but Bakar will come round the final corner and he will take the checkered flag to take third position. The Bush settles for 4th. Oren Sade will finish in 5th. There's Michael Scherling around the outside of Stowe Corner. Meshanam manages to take 8th back from him, and he's going to have to settle for 9th, I think. Great battle between these two on the last few laps. Scherling drops it a bit on the power. Is he going to lose another position to Elkin? No, he's not. He's just ahead in that 200 car, and he will take 9th. Meshalam in 8th. Deckel now finished in 7th, and the top 10 have all finished now. Here's a little bit of a battle going on there with Chachashvili and Sir just behind him in a livery that reminds me of the Braun GPF1 team. It's the white and the fluorescent yellow coming round Maggot and Beckett in towards Chapel now. 4 tenths separating them, 3 tenths now right on the back of him. It's Sir. And they're going to come down the hangar straight for the final time. Let's see if he can make a move up to the 21st position. Is that a slowdown for Chachashvili? I think it is. Or is he just let them past? I think he just let him past. He's not slowed down enough for a slowdown, I don't think. Sir makes a bit of a mockery of Stowe Corner exit, but it's not enough for Chachashvili to make a move in towards Club Corner.
Sounds like he's short shifting. He might be trying to nurse it on the fuel, I'm not sure.
Oh, lock up, he's going to go down the inside for the final corner. And he just has to back out of that one. Finishes, and so hard into the barrier, into the pit wall at the end there. Thought we were going to have a bit of contact between the two. That's not normally where you want to be going too wide, but on the last lap you can make an exception using the wall to try and slow himself down there. Leon Portman will finish in 23rd. Great bit of action at the end there, and as every single driver finished the race there, as we're in the grandstand now looking at Maggots and Beckett's in the scenic cameras. Absolutely beautiful shot here, and we're going to get the race results up in just a few moments time. Here they are then. Alon Day winning by 2 seconds out of Shalva Kviteshvili. We saw a little hint of a battle between them at the start of the race, but as always, Shalva got a slowdown, and the battle was cut short. We're still waiting for a good multi-lap scrap between these two. Matty Bakar takes third, just ahead of Debush. Oren Sade finished in fifth, with Ron Cohen and Dekel Nar and Amon Meshalam just managing to overtake Michael Sherling at the end there. Ariel Elkin took 10th, Nikot Mizrahi in 11th, Ori Lahav in 12th, Hagai Farron and Yossi Gabai in 13th and 14th, Malka and Zeltzer in 15th and 16th, and we've got Monturiano in 17th, John Chico rounding out the top 18. We've got Toma Ventura, Moshi Pinchevsky really with that last lap overtake on Leon Portman. Then we've got Chachasvili. Actually, I think Chachasvili had a penalty. I think he had a penalty there because he finished just a second behind Sir. He might have got a slowdown at the line and then gets a 40-second penalty. I think that's what's happened there. Chachasvili down in 23rd. Gillespie finished 24th, a lap down. Also a lap down was Eric Alster, Sar Deckel, Rancioni, and Yehuda Ben Yosef in 28th. And 3 drivers at the back, Jan Pergament, Ido Isaac, and David Diag, who didn't make it past the first lap of the race, unfortunately, down in 31st position. The biggest grid we've seen on the iRacing Israel League, and that's great to see, Adam.
Yeah, massive grid today, 31 cars. I think we needed a track like Silverstone for that, because I think we needed all the space we could get around here. There was plenty of battles going on, and even at the very end there, when we were looking outside the top 20, there were cars going at it. Now that the race is finished, we can bring you the points just one more time going into this round, and Alon Day will be liking where he finished, because it means that this gap here, 53 points compared to Shalva's 81, will close up just a little bit going into the next race meeting in 2 weeks' time. Oren Sade finished 5th today. That's consolation for him. He'll be able to consolidate that, but I think he will have potentially lost a few places to potentially Alon Day. Alon Seltzer there in 5th, Maddie Bakar 6th. That podium for Maddie will be brilliant. And Meshalam 7th, Michael Simon 8th, and Sherling there 9th, and Sardekel at the top, coming in the top 10. And you mentioned there all the way down to 18th place. It is exceptionally close, and got 15 minutes before we go off air, so let's see if we can get some words with the drivers that were making the headlines today. We have got a few of them waiting to come and talk to us, and we do have the race winner at the ready, Dane, so I'm sure he'll be a lot happier than when we saw him at Charlotte when he was catapulted off into the barriers. So let's have a quick word with Alon Day.
Absolutely. Then once again, race winner in the iRacing Israel League. Welcome to the commentary box, Alon Day.
Hey, nice to be here again after a race break.
Yeah, it was unfortunate 2 weeks ago at Charlotte with that huge, spectacular crash involving yourself and Shalva, but back on the top step of the podium once again, and a pretty dominant performance from yourself.
Yeah, I think also Shalva made a mistake and went wide, and I think he got off track and had to slow down. But he did an amazing recovery. I think he saved a lot of fuel and a lot of tires, and he managed to push really hard in the last couple laps and make me nervous about it. But yeah, it was pretty manageable race from the very beginning to the end. Unfortunate that some of the top drivers, I think they changed tires. I don't know what happened, but some of them just dropped drastically to the back, and I think they changed tires, so it's unfortunate. But overall, it was a great race.
Yeah, it was Michael Sherling and Harry Farron. They both got a speeding penalty. They both had a bit of an incident heading into the pit lane entry point. Harry Farron lost control of his car and went across the line way too fast, and Sherling just outbroke himself a little bit, and they both got speeding penalties, so that's why they dropped back through the field. Sherling managed to get up into 8th or 9th at the end, I think it was, but really unfortunate for those guys, but obviously for yourself and Shalva as well. Shalva capitalized on that massively, and he was putting you under a little bit of pressure maybe at the end, only 2 seconds at the end as well, so definitely enough to make you nervous.
I mean, I knew he's quick, and I barely drove on iRacing in the last couple of weeks. because I'm getting ready for the real season. NASCAR Wheel Junior Series is starting soon, but still managed to come here after such a long time without touching the simulator, and still having a good performance compared to Shalva that I know is extremely quick. I feel good today. Yeah, that's it. I just feel good.
Well, you have every right to feel good. In 2 weeks' time, we're heading to Road Atlanta. How's your experience with that circuit?
Yeah, I think it's a fun track. It's gonna be cool.
Definitely is a fun track. We saw some great racing last season in the GT4s. Hopefully we'll see that again in the GT3s then. Well, Alon, thank you so much for joining us in the commentary box. Congratulations on the win yet again, closing the gap to Shalva after maybe not the greatest finish 2 weeks ago. And is there anyone you want to give a shout out to before we let you go?
The usual guys, for Amir, that putting everything here together. For every person in the Israeli Championship League that donating from their own time to develop this amazing championship. I think we grew up to 30 drivers, I think, on the grid, which is amazing compared to where we started the previous season, and it's still growing. So I think it's amazing. And yeah, basically, yeah, that's it. And to you guys that again commentating and making it fun to watch.
Well, thank you so much. 31 drivers on the grid this week, the largest grid we've seen in both seasons so far, so it's great to see this series growing in popularity. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Alon, and good luck for the start of the new NASCAR Euro Series, and also for 2 weeks' time.
Thank you very much. Thank you guys. See you in 2 weeks if I will race.
Well, that was our race winner. 2 race wins to his name in this season now. Last season's champion, of course, Alon Day. Great to hear from him. And Adam, I believe you've got Mr. Shalva Kovteshvili on the line.
Yeah, let's get him in for a quick word. So we're watching the fantastic scrap between them early on. Shalva, welcome to the commentary box.
Hello guys, good to be here.
Well, once again, it was a classic battle between you and Alon very early on, and we're just watching on the replay on the stream now the fantastic scrap you had on the exit of Luffield and through Woodcote and into Copse, and it all ended. Was it a slowdown penalty that you picked up going onto the Hangar Straight?
Yes, exactly, you got it right. I got the longest slowdown in iRacing history, I swear to God. I actually gained nothing there, absolutely nothing, and I wasn't on the throttle for like a couple of seconds, but the slowdown just wouldn't go away, and I lost 2 positions. I think I lost like 4 seconds just in that slowdown for some reason.
Yeah, I know that slowdown. That's a really awful one. I got that in a race I did yesterday.
Absolutely horrible, but well, from there I saw Chagai and Michael were having the biggest fight ever, and I figured it was gonna be too difficult, too much effort to get past both of them, and I wouldn't have any chance to catch Alon. So I just figured I'm gonna just save as much as fuel and tires as I can, so I can have the shortest pit stop possible. And I mean, it kind of worked. I gained, I think, like 4 to 5 seconds on Alon just on the pit stop. But unfortunately, wasn't enough. I was just hoping for some mistake, and I had the tires, but I was gaining like maybe 1 or 2 tenths per lap. It wasn't enough this time.
So from the moment you got that slowdown penalty, did the game plan have to change, and you decided to go longer into the race so that you could leapfrog those drivers and gain a few more places?
Absolutely, like. I mean, I made a mistake. I was trying to figure out how I was gonna try and win the race at that point, and not just gain 1 or 2 positions, just fighting a useless fight. I knew I could fuel save without losing too much time, and I just tried to go to the win. Unfortunately, this wasn't enough this time.
Still second place, and of course you were leading the championship going into this race meeting. Even with Alon winning, I don't think you'll have taken the lead in the championship. So you've managed to consolidate your lead well there, and that should still give you some more confidence going into the next race meeting in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, for sure. Like I consider Silverstone to be one of my worst tracks. I'm racing with just one screen, and some of the corners there are impossible. Like you can't see the apex until it's too late. So hopefully in 2 weeks' time, I think it's Road Atlanta, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I consider that track to be much better for me. I feel much more comfortable there.
Right, well, before we let you go, do you want to send a quick shout out to anyone?
Well, just the usual guys, and congratulations to Alone for winning.
Right, well done on the second place finish today. It was a fascinating drive watching you with the late strategy, and it was able to pay off in the end. So, well done on that, and thanks for taking the time to come and speak to us today, Charlotte.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
Next up then, Dane, who are you thinking? We do have two drivers that were hit by the speeding fines waiting to talk to us in Haggai Farron and Michael Sherling. But we do have Aaron Sade as well, so take your pick from one of those.
I think I'll go for the driver who finished in 5th position, which is, of course, Oren Sade. Oren, welcome to the commentary box.
Hey guys, how are you?
We are doing absolutely great, thank you very much. 5th place today, not a bad result at all.
No, from a 9th position on the grid to 5th, I'm pretty happy with that.
Absolutely, you did a cracking drive there in the Porsche Cup car, and pit stops this race was a new addition to the series. How did you find that?
Yeah, it was a first time for me. Pretty excited. One more thing to do in the race. I was a little bit cautious, took a little bit extra fuel, but I think it worked out pretty good. Maybe it cost me one position, but Ram did a good job and did a clean pass on the inside line. Congrats to him.
Absolutely, there was some great racing in this race. In 2 weeks' time, then we head to Road Atlanta. Obviously, we went there last season in the GT4s. How did you find Road Atlanta?
I didn't think I liked it too much, but maybe it will be different with the Porsche Cup.
How are you finding the Porsche Cup compared to the GT4? Which do you prefer?
Absolutely the Porsche Cup.
I think that's probably the same as most of the drivers on the grid. It's a really fun car to drive. I definitely prefer the Cup car to the GT4. I think it's a really great fun car to drive. Well, Oren, you were currently sitting in 2nd position in the standings, and with a decent 5th place result, I think you might just about hold on to that as we head into round number 4. So congratulations on that.
Thank you very much.
Good luck for 2 weeks' time at Road Atlanta. Even if you don't like the circuit too much, you can maybe get a good result there. And before we let you go, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to?
Yes, congrats to Alon for winning the race, coming back, and for Haggai because come back last year race and here competing and developing the league with Amir and all the guys. We had a huge grid today. I hope it will continue. It's a great community, and thank you guys.
Well, thank you very much. 31 cars on the grid, so biggest grid we've seen. It's great to see this series growing. Hopefully it keeps growing and we can get even more cars on the grid. Well, thank you, Oren, so much for joining us, and good luck for 2 weeks' time. Well then, Oren Sade finishing in 5th position. Good to hear from him.
Right, we've got a couple of minutes left, so let's get in two drivers that were done by the speeding fines. We could get them in together as well because they've got similar tales to tell. Let's get them both in. Haggai Farron and Michael Sherling, two guys that were both at the front of the field in terms of fighting for a podium, but then that pit lane. I don't know, Haggai, you talk us through it first. I think we worked it out about 37 miles an hour is the speed limit, plus it's very dusty as well. All of that meant that it was incredibly difficult to slow down, and you very nearly hit the wall when you tried to get into the pit lane there.
Yeah, that wasn't the case. Basically, I have like a dumper for my brakes. I'm using like a standard pedal set, and I have this bushing that I put at the back, and the bushing collapsed when I got into the pit. So I immediately locked the wheels, and from there on it was just a joyride, you know, going 80 miles an hour sideways into the pit, and it was done.
Not much you can do from there. And Michael, yourself, it was, I think you were just a few kilometers per hour over the limit, were you, when you got to the yellow cones?
Yeah, something like this. I was actually trying to be careful, so I braked earlier, and for some reason I thought I braked too much and I released the brakes, and this was the reason for pitting in the pit lane. Speeding in the pit lane. It was wow. I screamed so hard. 40 seconds. It's crazy.
No, it's okay. It's very good that it happened to you.
Terrible. Fight was amazing with Hagai. It was
Great race.
yeah.
In similar situation, Hag, I think we could hear you revving the engine when you were in your pit box. I think you were that eager to get back out again when you're having to serve that penalty.
Sorry, I didn't hear the question.
I think you were revving your engine when you were in your pit box. You were that desperate to get back out onto the track again when you're having to serve your penalty.
No, that wasn't it. I thought that I never had that that I had to serve a penalty in the pit. It was the first time, so I thought it's I'm pitting for fuel, and then it said to me, the crew chief, that I have to go in again to serve the penalty in 2 laps. So I thought I was just going out on track and need to come back in again. And then I saw that it started to counting the time, so I released the throttle.
Oh, there we go. Yeah. Well, and Michael, towards the end of the race, you're on a comeback mission up through the field, and you very nearly got by Amir Mechelem then right in the closing stages.
Yeah, actually, I caught Amir. I think he had cut off track when I was like 2 seconds from him. But eventually, I thought he's going to outbrake me in one of the corners, so I took defensive line and went to wide. So very bad that he was able to overtake me again, and good for him.
Well, guys, it was a fantastic scrap between the two of you in the first half of the race, and hopefully we'll get to see more of the same of that at Road Atlanta in 2 weeks'
Guys,
time.
I have to say I'm very insulted from you guys. I have to say that. I have a brand new livery and you didn't say nothing.
Oh,
Come on. You all the time you're talking about livery.
well, it's only fair. I know I complimented Michael Sherling's livery, but there we go.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
We need to
Big up to John Chico who did delivery for me. So appreciate it.
Well, you were certainly flying in it today, Hagar, I must admit. Hopefully that will lead to better results in 2 weeks. But yeah, well done, guys, and thanks for taking the
Cheers,
time
guys.
to come and speak to us.
Thank you,
Good
guys.
night.
There you go, Dan. We talk about livery so much, and we forget to. Oh, I forget to mention how guys there. I was racing, and one of us said. But yeah, there you go. You got a good look at how guys livery, and I think that is pretty much everybody in the interview room. So yeah, very interesting race today at Silverstone with the mandatory fuel stop. And we'll have that to factor into the equation again at Road Atlanta, which is another tricky pit entry when you come to think about it.
Yeah, especially in these cars, the pit entry in these cars are going to have to be turning over a crest into a blind pit entry surrounded by barriers on either side.
Downhill
into a fairly slow pit lane. So that's going to be very interesting, and especially in these cars, which are difficult to brake at the best of times, never mind combining all of those factors in as well. Just like to give a special mention to John Chico, not for the livery, but he was the driver who made the most overtakes throughout the race. And I've just been reading through the rules. He gets an extra bonus point, 4 bonus points that is, the top 4 drivers gaining the most positions throughout the race. So John Chico will get an extra 4 points. And then we've got Dekel Nar and Dor Malka both gaining 10 positions. So they'll gain 3 points. And then gaining 1 point will be Ron Cohen, who gained 8 positions in that race. So that's a nice little touch for those guys to gain a couple of points for making up a lot of positions. And John Chico, I think he pitted twice, maybe 3 times in that race. Then you pitted for a fast repair right at the start of the race, and then pitted again for fuel a bit too early, and pitted again for a splash and dash right at the end. So for him to still have gained 11 positions is a great achievement by him. Well then, that is definitely it then. 9 o'clock UK time, and that was an absolutely fantastic race, Adam.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that one. And these rules that the organisers continue to implement, they are really adding to the spectacle here, even though it is just a race that takes place in around half an hour or so. So, tell you what, there's always battles everywhere, and yeah, looking forward to seeing what's going to happen next time at Road Atlanta. It's a track that should suit these cars well, and from what we've heard from some of the drivers tonight, like Shalva in particular, it's one that the drivers tend to enjoy too. So I think we've got everything we need for another good race next week, in 2 weeks.
Absolutely. On the 3rd of August, back at the same time once again, 8 p.m. UK time, 7 p.m. GMT, we will be back for Season 3 of the iRacing Israel League Round 4 from Road Atlanta. There's a big old straight at Road Atlanta as well, which should help aid some overtaking too into a hard braking zone. That's going to be a really interesting race. I cannot wait. So join us in 2 weeks' time. Same time, 3rd of August on a Monday night for round number 4. We'll be back in 2 weeks. Join us then. And from Adam and I and everyone here at the iRacing Israel League and Apex Racing TV, we wish you a good night and happy racing.